Hello comrades. The year 1992 was seen to be the black year of the Indian stock market. Why? Because this is the particular year where the Indian stock market has faced the huge crash and downfall ever in the history. And to tell you about it, this particular crash literally shattered the trust among the Indian financial system. And more importantly, this particular crash not just affected the small investors like you and me, it also affected the policymakers, the foreign investors, financial institutions and banks. While India seems to begin the journey of globalization and liberalization since 1991, this seemed to create another catastrophic moment to slump the growth of the nation and more importantly to create the mistrust among all of the nations worldwide who was willing to partner with India for huge business and investments. And guess what? The Bombay Stock Exchange literally lost around 10,000 crores, which is approximately $33 billion at that point of time in market capitalization. And it's all due to this one man who is none other than Harshad Mehta. And to tell you about him, if Indian stock market is considered as the Indian Ocean, he is considered to be the blue whale of that particular ocean. He is also considered as the big bull of the Indian stock market. So he is a stockbroker who literally manipulated the stock market by means of using the illegal tactics. The scam that really occurred because of this particular gentleman has really exposed the major loopholes in Indian banking system and the stock market regulations that further led to the establishment of stricter financial reforms in the later stages of the financial journey of India. So this particular episode is really about the rise of Harshad Mehta, in the sense how did he become the big bull of the Indian stock market? And number two, what is the secret behind the stock market boom and the fall? How did the darkest days of the Indian stock market look like? And number three, how did this particular scam created the impact on the nation and the economy? And at last, what are the critical lessons that we need to learn from this 1992 scam? Alright, so without wasting any time, let's dive in. Alright, now time traveling to July 29, 1954. Here's when Harshad Mehta has born to a modest and middle class family, and he started to spend most of his time in Madhya Pradesh. And to tell you about his family background, his father is a small business owner, and so he started to lead a normal and a middle class life. So in later stages, he has completed his schooling from Janta Public School, which is located in Madhya Pradesh, and finally graduated in commerce from Lala Lajput Rai College, which is located in Mumbai. And instead of being an average student, he started to show keen interest on finance, mathematics and economics. And he started to explore better opportunities in India, and he started to stay in Mumbai and in hunger of his ambition and to secure a better position in finance and economics. So according to his interest, Mumbai seems to be a right place for him. Why? Because it seems to be a financial capital of India, and it seems to be once again a perfect place for a man who is really hungry for success. However, his early days seems to challenge him with intense level of struggles. And to tell you about it, he started to take up odd jobs including selling cements and even garments in order to survive. And he also worked as a salesman in New India Assurance Company, where he has got his first exposure to the world of stocks and investments. And in the later stages, he started to give entry into the stock market, and here's where he started to take his first step towards generating $1 million wealth. Now this man Harshad Mehta started a first job in stock market as a jobber, which is nothing but a middleman in HN Securities, which seems to be a stock market firm in 1980s. And in the later stages, he understood the inner workings of Dalal Street, how the stock market is really working, how the stock markets even could be manipulated at any cost. More importantly, the tricks of trading and stock price movements. And here's where in the mid of 1980s, the birth of mastermind took place within him. And here's when he started to make waves in the stock market. And once again, he quickly realized that with enough money, he could be able to manipulate the share prices by himself. And in 1984, he quit the job as a middleman and started his new firm, which is called as Grow More Research and Asset Management. And here's where he started to grow his reputation as a stock market wizard. Meantime, he started to build his connections with business owners, politicians, and even with elite people who were the reason for his rise, at the same time his downfall. And he started to attract and welcome a lot of people into this particular investment by means of promising high and unbelievable returns on their investments that they are making in the stock market. And in the later 1990s, Harshad Mehta has literally cemented his name as the most powerful name in the Dalal Street. His deep understanding of market psychology combined with the trade risk mindset allowed him to manipulate stock at unprecedented level. This particular era has marked his golden run, where he is not just an investor but a force that really dictated each and every moment of the Indian stock market. Alright, if this is very clear to you, let's understand the investment strategy of Harshad Mehta, which is the game of psychology and numbers. Now coming to this strategy, this seems to be very simple. However, it also seems to be highly effective formula for the stock manipulation. So the first step is he started to target the undervalued stocks. Instead of going for even high blue chip stocks, he started to target the low expensive stocks. which has the high growth potential. And number two, he started to create the artificial demand, whereas he followed this one simple technique called as pump and dump. He started to invest large sums in the specific stocks, make them to look highly valuable. And next is, as the price skyrocketed, the retail investors like you and me and the institutions rushed to buy them. This literally created a further demand. And more importantly, once his price hit all-time high, he began to sell them all, and finally, he started to gain massive amount of profits, leaving the small investors in huge losses. Alright, so this process, even called as share staking, and if you ever watched the Lucky Basket movie, you probably know about this particular term pretty well. What happens? This particular man, Harshad Mehta, started to buy undervalued stocks and even suggests his other brokers to buy these stocks at higher quantities. At the same time, he even asks his own people to buy the same stocks at higher rate. Let's say if a stock goes for 20 rupees, he would ask his person to buy for 50 rupees or even 100 rupees. And at that time, once when the stock price starts to boom up, and here's when he started to sell all at once, leaving the small investors with a huge loss behind. Alright. And next is, he used something called as BR as a loophole. So BR is nothing but bank receipt. Now to tell you about this BR, let me give you an example. Let's say you want to buy a car which is worth 10 or 20 lakh rupees. And now you just go to the bank and tell, I need a loan of 10 lakh rupees. However, I would give a piece of gold that's worth 20 lakhs as a collateral. Now the bank agrees and bank gives you the receipt, which is so called as BR, by believing that you have a gold worth 20 lakh rupees at home. But what if the gold doesn't exist in your home? And this is what exactly Harshad Mehta did, but not on a small scale, but at a larger scale, at a huge extent. Now in the earlier 1990s, what happened is the banks started to invest in government securities, which is so called as bonds. Now instead of transferring these bonds physically, government literally used this particular document, which is called as bank receipt. Now this particular bank receipt has confirmed each and every bond purchase that has been done by banks. Bank in the sense, not just one banks, any banks, various amount of banks overall India. And here's where Harshad Mehta started to create fake bank receipts and he started to get real money. What he does is, let's say he'll go to the bank A, he started to collect the details of the general manager or the authorized person, and he literally created a forged document by means of copying his signature and seal stamp and all those things. And later he goes to bank B and using this particular BR, he started to take the real money from bank B. And using the money of bank B, he started this process which is so called as share staking. Now this fake BRs actually has no value. Why? Because this actually have the transactions that didn't even exist. However, he used these BRs to convince the banks to lend more and more money, and finally, he invested all these monies in the stock market and he started to do the process which is called as share staking. Now at that point of time, this BR document seems to be so much trustworthy, banks started to give him huge amount of loans without having any doubts or hesitations. And next is very simple, media and public image manipulation. Here's where he appeared in various TV shows, newspapers, news articles, and more importantly, he gave lots of interviews to fellow investors like you and me. And literally, he approached many news channels and exhibited his strategy called a super strategy, and he started to gain huge name and fame. And even most of the media companies at that point of time called him as Indian Warren Buffett. And here's when he started to create hype around certain kind of stocks where he decided to invest, and he even suggested the people to invest. And guess what? People even started to invest without any sort of second thought in their mind. So he started to control the entire market sentiment. And here's when his influence was so strong that even foreign investors and institutional investors also followed his moves. Even big business owners have started to consult him before making investment decisions. He also created an illusion of infinite growth, making people believe that the market is really, really unstoppable. And as a result, he started to live lavish and luxurious lifestyle. And to tell you about it, he started to own the most luxurious penthouse in Mumbai, and he started to have fleet of luxurious cars, and more importantly, he had huge, powerful and political connections. And last but not the least, the media stardom also took place. Here's where he literally became the face of the stock market success. Here's when he was a media sensation who regularly featured in business magazines and newspapers. Even multiple financial stores started to invite him as a stock market expert, and people literally and blindly followed his advice by means of trusting him that he is a financial genius. Alright, so if this is very clear to you, let's move to the second part of the episode where we'll see the secret behind this stock market boom and the fall. How did the darkest days of the Indian stock market did really look like? Alright, now the secret behind this growth is really, really simple. First thing is that the stock of the company started to gain significant level of growth without even generating profits. And number two is, even the banks were unknowingly giving him lots and lots of money by believing that the unexpected returns, which is not really going to come. And next is very simple. The media literally portrayed him as a king by means of hiding the cracks that really started to happen on his empire. And by the year 1991, many financial analysts started to question the stockbrokers or the stock market expertise or even many other companies. How did the company get huge amount of returns, or how did the company grow in a lot more quicker way without even generating profits? And they really started to investigate on the profit and loss statements and other financial documents. And here's where the big bubble is about to explode. But sadly, the Indian stock market was really enjoying the artificial boom, still not knowing that the reality is far away from the truth. In fact, no one even wants to believe what actually the truth is. And as a result, the inevitable fall took place, which is the beginning of the end. And here's where the new superhero comes into our today's episode, who is none other than Sucheta Dalal. Her revelation has really started this inevitable fall. And to tell you about her, she is a senior journalist in the Times of India, and she started to investigate and she started to uncover the secret of Harshad Mehta by April 1992. And her report seems to be the first evidence of exploiting Harshad Mehta's illegal tactics and the illegal market boom, the stock market manipulation that took place at that point of time. Also, she began to reveal that Harshad Mehta has been using the public bank to oblige him huge amount of unsecured loans, and more importantly, he also convinced the banks to give him money for the fake BRs, that whatever he offered. And in the later stages, BR, which is a bank receipts, seemed to be found absolutely worthless. So his level of domination in Indian stock market has came to an end in 1992. But it's just for Harshad Mehta. The Indian nation has started to face a huge nightmare. The big bull of India has turned into a big villain of India overnight. And more importantly, the legend of Harshad Mehta has become a cautionary tale for many number of generations that are yet to come. And in May 1992, Harshad Mehta was arrested by the CBI, and over 70 criminal cases and more than 600 civil suits were filed against him. This particular scam has exposed the massive corruption in India's financial and political circles. Mehta's assets have been seized and he lost all his wealth overnight. And finally, key legal charges against Mehta includes the stock market manipulation, the forgery and fraud documents, which is the BRs, and the breach of trust, and at last, the criminal conspiracy that he literally gave to the public and the media. Alright? Now, even at that point of time, Harshad never ever admitted that he is a fraudster. He still applied for a number of bails, and more importantly, he started to seek support by means of various politicians and other influencers. However, nothing could really save him. Nothing could really take him out of the prison trap. And finally, at the age of 47, he lost his life by means of heart attack by being in prison custody. And coming to the nation and economic impact, let's keep it very simple. First thing is massive stock market crash. Here's when most of the middle class people and small investors like you and me started to lose trust in stock market and never came back with bulk investments for a few years of time. Next is collapse of banks and financial systems. And here's where, due to the fake BS which has been issued, financial institutions started to shut down and even banks started to collapse and merge. And next is SEBI and RBI at that point of time started to bring severe and strict norms in order to regulate the bankings and more importantly the investments in a lot more better level. Alright, if this is very clear to you, let's move to the last part of the episode. What are the key lessons that you need to learn from this particular scam? First lesson is have financial education. Now, if you start to have financial education, you could probably learn a lot more stuff about the stock market. You could analyze the stock and you can really understand the true value of the stock, that whatever you truly invest. And over the period of time, you can really understand what sort of investment you're really going to get from this particular stocks that you're going to invest. Now, there is nothing called as overnight success. Even one single overnight success involves 365 days or even much more days of sleepless nights and days. So stop anything that literally over leverages you in terms of money or fame or success or whatever. Stop being manipulated to things that really over leverages you. Alright? And number 3 is very simple. Understand and be in your limitations. It's possible to expand your limitations gradually in a significant manner, but it's absolutely impossible to think or play beyond your limitations. So stop within your limits and start to expand your limitations gradually by learning, by leveraging yourself with high quality education, money or technology or whatever, and start to improve your lifestyle. Alright, so that's all for today's episode. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.